Hey everyone, welcome to the segment on behaviors that challenge us, or as I like to sometimes call it, this kid is driving me nuts. So we're going to get right into talking about these challenging behaviors, and I'm going to hide myself so you can focus on the slides. So in young children, they are building towards two things in their social emotional world. One is the sense of self. They're becoming increasingly independent and mastering skills, particularly physical ones. They have a strong desire to test boundaries and limits, and they can start to identify and articulate their needs and wants. We want to remember that they can only do this when they're calm. When they're really upset, of course, they can't engage that articulated place. In regards to the sense of other, they're starting to build social interactions. They're also starting to negotiate social relationships and engage in complex social play, and they really enjoy performing for others. So quick story, New Year's Eve, my daughter insisted on performing a child for some of our guests that were over. And her song was, "And when I'm hanging out and talking with my friends," and it goes on from there. It really embodies this sense of other, and my daughter is 6, so this is a perfect time where she's really exploring those interpersonal relationships strongly. She's performing for others in this. She's also singing about her social relationships, and that was the entire content of her song, was all about hanging out with her friends. So what does this mean for the teacher? It means the children in your class are going to want to do things more independently over time and show off their physical abilities, even if it's dangerous, which means they want to climb shelves or play with scissors. They're going to, test lots of boundaries, and we need to stay calm in these situations to give them appropriate places to try out these things. Also, the children in your class will do whatever it takes to clearly communicate to you what they are feeling, especially when it is inconvenient to you. So I'm going to bring myself back into the screen a little bit. I'm going to tell you, completely. I'm going to tell you a story about my own daughter. When my daughter was 3, I separated from her father. We moved to an apartment. And for the first month-ish, things were pretty great. But after that, we would get ready for the morning, and anybody here who's a mom or ever has seen a mom knows how it goes. I've got my lunch bag, I've got my backpack, I've got my coat, I got my hat, I got all this stuff for me. And then I've got my daughter's lunch bag, her backpack, her hat, her coat, all this stuff for her. And she would melt down right before we were to leave. And this was happening consistently. For the first few weeks, I would be like, "Come on, Eve, we gotta go, get up, get out the door. Like, this is not the time to melt down. I don't have time for this. You gotta go to school. I gotta go to work. We have all this stuff to do." And it just kept getting worse, and she just kept melting down. And then I realized this behavior was clear communication that she is feeling distressed. Transitions times are the hardest time for children. And sometimes the behavior that comes out at transitions is not directly related to that transition. It's just about the upheaval in their life. So I decided that I would take a different approach. Instead of try to force her out the door, I would set everything down. I would get on the floor. I mean, she would literally melt down to a puddle on the floor. So I'd get on the floor, I'd pull her into my lap. 30 seconds later, she'd be fine and ready to go. I'd grab my stuff. I could actually get her to grab some of her stuff, and we could head out the door. So pulling back and asking what does she need from me in that time made a huge difference in her ability to engage. That behavior went away in about a week. So I'm going to hide myself again, and I'm going to go back to the slides. If the children in the class are consistently failing to meet your expectations, it might be a time to change expectations. So here are some tips for that. You should ask yourself, is this appropriate for the child to do at this age? Is it reasonable for this individual child to do this? And why do I want the child to do this? Is this really a benefit for them, or am I looking for this for me or other adults? So here are some scenarios. One is, this preschooler is moving so slowly. I need to get on with my day. The answer is really building in more time for transitions. I told you the story about my own daughter. This was an issue for me when I was a preschool teacher. I said, we have 40 minutes for choice time. We have 30 minutes for outdoor time. We have 20 minutes for lunch or whatever, and I was constantly trying to get the kids to move. When I built in more transition times, we actually moved faster because I could slow down and tell the children what was coming. I could give individual help to children that needed it, and then I could get the children who were leaders to help move everybody along. Changed everything. Another scenario is my class keeps using potty talk and acting silly. Well, it turns out a good sense of humor is something that is important to the human existence. If you think about people who are in the dating world, somebody signing up for maybe a dating website, what does everybody say? Great personality, good sense of humor. Nobody says, I want a curmudgeon who has no fun. Everybody's looking for a sense of humor. Maybe a different sense of humor, but a sense of humor. Young children are no different. They need humor in their life too. So schedule times to be funny. Preschool should not be all serious. The other piece is don't react to it. If you have that ringleader type of child who gets everybody else going, if they see you frustrated, it only makes it more fun and adds fuel to that fire. Another scenario is I have an aggressive child and he tells me he hates me all the time. You might remember this phrase from the recent presidential election, love trumps hate. This is for reals in the early childhood classroom. Loving a child always reduces their anger and their expressed hatred. Usually when children are expressing hatred, it's because they are feeling unloved. Doesn't mean you weren't expressing love, and it doesn't mean others weren't, but they're not feeling it. They need to feel it, they need to hear it, they need to be surrounded by it. These children don't follow my directions is our last scenario. And the questions to ask yourself are they simple and specific? Are they given at the child's eye level? I had a colleague in graduate school who said, don't be talking knees, meaning that we often stand way up high and we talk to children and they just see our knees. We got to get down on their level, bend down, eye contact, and talk to them face to face. The two others are, have you given a good reason that the child can understand, and are your expectations consistent? So when you find yourself in a power struggle with a child, please remember the following, because honestly, in a power struggle, you will always win in the moment. You are bigger, you are an authority, you are in charge. However, you will win that battle, you will lose that war. They will come back and challenge your power again and again and again, and you will never be a team. So remember that it's important and it's normal for children to challenge authority. It's how they become independent adults. We want this from them. So I'm going to credit Anne-Marie Jacobson for the STAR system. She came up with this when she was a teacher to help people she worked with think about children's behavior in a different way. So S is separate yourself emotionally from the situation. The child is not doing this to make you crazy, even if it seems like they are. They're doing their number one job, which is to grow up and learn along the way. T, target the cause. Are they hungry, tired, sick, bored? Are there unreasonable expectations on them? Are they having a hard time in life, etc.? A, accept the struggle is happening and then recognize that fighting back is a waste of your time and your energy. You have so much to do in the course of a day in a preschool classroom. The last thing you need to do is fight battles that are not worth fighting. And R, redirect yourself and the child. When you take the focus off the struggle into the solutions for both parties, you get to model for children how to problem solve, and you get to take time to cool yourself down. I use a lot of self-talk when I'm upset, and I say, I am really frustrated right now. I need to step away. I need to take some deep breaths. I need to practice my counting, and then we can come back and talk this out. So always remember, I love this picture. It's so cute. Remember that each child is a unique individual and is an absolute masterpiece. Even if they make you crazy, they are an absolute masterpiece. Thanks for joining me on this challenge, Behaviors That Challenge Us podcast, video screencast, and we'll see you around for the next screencast.